Welcome back to my channel. I hope you like my sort of dancing about, showing you my fabulous 1930s blouse and my, well, they're not 1930s, but they're my sit back a little bit more. They are my 1930s style blue high-waisted flared trousers. I love white leg trousers because they're high-waisted and they suit me, and they are amazing. So today's video is going to be a SEWN podcast. I'm also going to do an actual, just a voice recording of this in more detail about 1930s fashion. And 1930s fashion is not really something I'm really into as a decade, because in my opinion 1930s fashion is quite aimed to the tall, sort of slimline figure with a high waist, and I don't suit that. I suit the 40s and 50s fashion. But I thought I'd talk about it anyway, because some of the clothes and styles in that decade I can translate into my own wardrobe, because in the 1930s, that's when the love for anybody who loves into fashion and the love over women, and that was in that era of wide-legged trousers. I love wide-legged trousers, but that's for another video. So 1930s was quite a turbulent decade, with the Great Depression, the World War II in 1939, the rise to power of Hitler, the Spanish Civil War, but that didn't stop fashion continuing and changing throughout the decade. Now, as we all know, in this decade, Paris was the centre of fashion, and it still is in my opinion. Now, famous designers from this period are particularly Madeleine Vionnet, and she was responsible for designing bias cut dress of the 1930s. If you think of Keira Knightley in that movie that I now forget the name of, but it's her green dress. It's called the bias. Basically, it's cut against your own figure. It's very diaphanous, and it's very, very reminiscent of Grecian dresses, drapery, and sort of fashion that was around in the 1910s, or even if you think about the Regency era, but less frilly, more diaphanous, clinging to the body with plunging necklines or plunging backlines or pieces taking out, and it was all very beautiful and very, very expensive. But that didn't mean that the fashion didn't translate down. It did translate down, so the ordinary middle class, working class housewife could wear similar dress if she was going out for a party or a wedding or something similar. Now, as I said, the silhouette was high-waisted, so probably I can just stand up about here, and plus you get to see the folds of my beautiful dress and my beautiful top. And a lot of the colours are muted, like browns, aubergines, autumnal colours, green, like a yellow, purples, a lot of tweed in this era, because this was the era that sports gear, particularly for women, really came into its own. You'll see lots of photographs flicking through here on this video of stylish women playing golf, going hiking, going for a hunt in two-piece tweed suits, often with trousers, often with a skirt, with a little cloche hat as well. So this was really whenever sports gear, especially in America, started to take a life of its own. And also in this decade, hats were a lot different from the 1920s closed cloche hats. You can see some of the photographs. The larger hats with the brim around here, but the closeness around the back of the head came from the cloche hat of the 1920s. So it was sort of bell-like with extended wings. Some of them had shoes coming over, or big ribbons, or even lobsters or telephones. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, lobsters, telephones and shoes, Elsa Schiaparelli, the designer who was influenced by surrealist artists like Salvador Dali, made a lobster telephone handbag, a shoe hat, literally a shoe hat, and she invented the colour shocking pink. And she was very famous for dressing Wallis Simpson, the mistress of, I think, is it George IV, George V, I'm not quite sure. And also in a lot of her dresses in the late 1930s, she had a lot of lobster print, eyes, telephones, just all embroidered all over the dress. And really, like this dress that Wallis Simpson's wearing with like the lobsters on it, absolutely amazing. I would absolutely die to own an Elsa Schiaparelli surrealist piece. It would be probably one of the epitomes of my vintage collection. But anyway, as you can see, it was a very long, very lean silhouette, very, very geared towards tall women, but that's not to say women who were small like myself probably did wear stuff like this, but it mightn't have been as flattering to the figure. In the 1930s, it's very different stylistically in silhouette from the start of the 30s till the end of the 30s at the outbreak of World War II. The start of the 30s, you can see the flapper influences with still the flat-lying chest and then the longer skirt, and you can see the cloth shads. But then towards the end of the 1930s, you think it's a completely different decade, but with the sharp shouldered suits and the more sort of trilby type hats and the more box shape that we're familiar with in the 40s coming into fashion. And most famously in 1939, there was Maine Boucher's a corset photograph, because as people think, oh, 1947, the new look, this sort of idea of women in corsets with the boxed off, very round, very either square or round silhouette at the top with the tiny waist and full skirts wasn't not really that new in 1947. It was just a continuation of where fashion stopped in 1939, because during World War II the boxy shape of the late 30s was kept for utility reasons, but that's for another video. So throughout the 1930s there was a lot of changes socially and economically, and particularly for women. In this decade it became more acceptable for women to wear trousers outside of the beach, or for sporting or for riding, and an example of this would be the really large wide leg trousers or palazzo pants, or beach pyjamas as they were known, worn by fashion women on the French Riviera or in Florida, further afield, with large floppy hats that they would wear going to the beach with their swimsuit underneath. Now I have to admit, I bought these blue trousers you saw earlier in the video. They are Alexa Chung from Marks & Spencer, so they're not available anymore. I bought these, oh, it's the back of the board, nearly fell off. I bought these last year with like a blue and white striped top and a big floppy hat because I was looking at 1930s beach pyjamas advertisements, and I wore this to Florence and I did look quite fabulous. Also in this decade it became more acceptable for women to go out to work, so the two-piece suit that was quite famous in the 1920s took on a life of its own. So more women went into high-powered jobs as lawyers, doctors, clerks and other things that mightn't have been obtainable 10-20 years ago. So the 1930s, let's have a recap. Long, lean silhouette, high waist, not above the bust but just below the bust. A lot of tweed, a lot of muted colours, and most famously the 1930s evening gown cut on the bias as invented by Madeleine Vionnet, and the surrealist influence of Elsa Schiaparelli and her shocking pink, which I love, but I don't suit it because I'm so pale on pink anyway. And also more sportswear warmer women and more trousers warmer women in the 1930s than previously in the 1920s. So there you go, there's a quick recap of the 1930s fashion silhouette. As I say, I will go into more detail by sort of year on year in the SEWN podcast, which I'll link below, and all the resources I use for this podcast and video I will link below and also in the blog post. Don't forget to subscribe, ding the subscribers bell, follow me Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and read my blog. I put all the links in the description box below. See you later, bye.